We love the Camino del Norte, so why are we about to leave it? We started this Camino in San Sebastián and have taken a rest day in Bilbao. Now we're about to continue west towards Santander, where the plan is to go completely off script. It's day 8 and we're sad to say goodbye to fellow pilgrims Mark and Sarah, who have just completed their official 100 kilometres. We step away from the city and just like that, we're back on the Camino. We leave via Barrio San Francisco, covered in political signs in Spanish and the fascinating Basque language Euskara. Linguists call it a language isolate because it is not part of any existing language family. Sheltered for millennia behind the Pyrenees, the Basque people preserved Europe's most ancient language and a genetic identity separate to the rest of Spain. They have their own government systems and a unique culture with a vibrant food, arts and sports scenes. ETA, the armed separatist movement, formally dissolved in 2018. But radical politics still lives on in the graffiti you'll see throughout the region. The city falls away into quiet countryside, but to keep us honest, we pass through some industrial zones too. It's a jolt back to reality, but also a reminder that the Norte takes you through parts of Spain the tourist trails never reach. It's not all bad. We reach Sestao, where the locals are deep in their traditional long lunch. There are no pilgrim menus here. We eat what the locals eat. We're becoming accustomed to Basque gastronomy and almost religious reverence for good food shared with family and friends. Arriving in Portugalete, we cross the Puente Vizcaya, the world's oldest transporter bridge built in 1893 and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There are pros and cons to the albergue versus hotel debate. Albergues are more social and you meet people and feel the pilgrim energy, but they also mean disrupted sleep, 6 a.m. rustling, and a certain unavoidable intimacy with strangers. If you can afford it, we suggest you mix it up. Enjoy the social side when you want it, and retreat to a quiet hotel for a deep rest. Day 9 starts with provisions. We are now taking our fueling seriously, and we stock up like unsupervised children at a petrol station. With 28 kilometres ahead, we know we'll need the energy. We take the easy way out of town that we call the stairway to heaven. After all, the Camino is about the journey, not the suffering, mostly. Today is a long day of road walking, trails and old railway tunnels. All we can do is put on some music and push through the kilometres.
I just wanna go out and walk with you. Baby, you know I just like to talk with you. You don't have to tell me anything that's new. I just wanna go out and walk with you. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine, sailing over pavement with our 2 outlines. I like to see the shape you're in from time to time. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine. I just wanna see
The Norte has some of the finest coastal walking in Europe, and if the hills can feel like hell and the road walking like purgatory, then swimming in the Atlantic at the end of a long day is about as close to heaven as it gets. Before we leave Castro Urdiales on day 10, we stop to admire the headland. A Roman port once stood here. The Romans called it Flavio Briga, one of the few coastal settlements they established on this wild northern shore. Yesterday we crossed from Basque Country into Cantabria. Behind us, the Basque people who held their identity, their DNA, and their language intact from the usual traffic of history. Ahead lies Cantabria, Celtic in its ancient roots, shaped by Roman conquest and culturally more part of the broader Iberian story. The Camino is slow travel at its best, and we have the time to contemplate as we walk. The trail moves between two worlds, dramatic cliff-top paths where the Atlantic crashes onto the rocks below, then inland into farms, impossibly green from the near-constant Atlantic rain, with small fields divided by old stone walls and farmhouses. A church, thick-walled and ancient, a scallop shell carved above the door. The air smells of wood smoke and damp grass, and then you're back at the cliff edge and the ocean stretches to the horizon. We reach Laredo in time for dinner. Cantabria is famous for its seafood. Its anchovies in particular are the best in the world, they say, and after a day like today, we're definitely not arguing. Day 11, we start early on a trail we have almost entirely to ourselves, and that solitude is worth dwelling on for a moment. The Camino Francés carries hundreds of thousands of pilgrims every year. It has its own ecosystem, packed albergues, pilgrim menus, pilgrim gossip, and the energy of pilgrims sharing a journey. That community is real, and for many people it's the whole point. The Norte is a different experience entirely. We only see a few pilgrims a day. The villages are real villages, fishing communities and farming families going about their lives. Nobody is waiting to sell us a ceramic shell. What the Norte offers instead is solitude, authenticity, gorgeous scenery and wild coastline. It depends entirely on what you're looking for. The landscape today settles us into something extraordinary. You leave Laredo and the terrain opens into a vast tidal estuary and protected wetland. The ferry at Santona is one of the small Camino pleasures on this sunny day. And it's not cheating. Pilgrims have been crossing this estuary by boat for centuries. We make it to Noja in time for dinner. We just have to find our accommodation first. Day 12, and it's a big one. 32 kilometres with over 600 metres in elevation. Still, it's a kind of morning where you walk more slowly to soak in the warm sun and the deep blue sky. We cross low coastal scrub, sandy tracks and views out over the Atlantic. We stop for ice cream, laughing about how the Camino always provides. And then we drop down to the beach. The final approach to Santander is along the sand, the city rising on its headland ahead of us. Nearly 2 weeks of walking in our legs. The traditional way to arrive in Santander is by ferry across the bay, and there's no better way. We celebrate the end of Jim and Jill's 200-kilometre Camino. Saying goodbye to them here feels like the proper end of something. These are the moments a Camino keeps giving you, not just the walking, but the people you walk with, and the particular sadness and satisfaction of finishing something hard together. We'll take a day in Santander, but we're not done. There's a train to Leon. The Camino Francés is waiting, but that's another story.